Peace. Rami Salam El, thank you for joining us. Here to answer questions about Moors, Moorish Americans, Noble Drew Ali, Moorish Science Temple of America, any and everything to do with Moors. Let's get into this. This is a bit of a lengthy one, and this person wanted to remain anonymous, but peace to you for the question. And it states, I wanted to inquire into whether you have any knowledge regarding Noble Drew Ali and the fee simple vast estate. From the best of my understanding, this fee simple vast estate and the quote-unquote creditor status in commerce is accessible if you are conveyed into trust corpus status under the 10105905 ancient quote-unquote ancient document filed in Cook County, Illinois. The 10105905, also known as the original 1099, can be amended at the county level by a proper Grand Shiek to include whomever properly conveys their person, quote unquote. Do you have any knowledge of this? I have also been informed about the power of publication and its ability to convey and attach you to the fee simple absolute trust. I do not believe this information should be discussed in the public, much like the Vatican, who used the same Illinois Hurds-Smith revised statutes to establish their empire/state in Italy. If you have any knowledge to confirm or deny this information, it would be very helpful. I have heard here say of success in courts through using the conveyed status document numbers and the DOD, I believe that's Department of Defense, racial codes and Department of Justice file numbers, etc., to prove a protected status, and that the MSTA, Moorish Science Temple of America, has the highest claim. I have also heard of Moors who have successfully accessed this creditor status based off the vast estate. I would like to know your thoughts and feedback. All right. Well, question is a bit complex for those that may not have studied law and are, familiar with the intricacies of the Moorish Science Temple of America and the Moorish movement. But in short, the question, from my understanding, is speaking towards our estate and the trust document that manages the estate. And just for the record, read, and if you haven't got one, Black's Law Dictionary, this is a 4th edition. If you haven't got one, I highly suggest you pick up a law dictionary to understand what is being said, when it comes to legal and lawful matters, because it's not what you may think it means, like black, for example. But let's stick to estate. I just want to put this on the record because it's thrown around a lot, and I think it's important we understand what estate means. Estate, this is on page 643. The interest which anyone has in lands or in any other subject of property. An estate in lands, tenements, and hereditaments signifies such an interest as the tenant has therein. The condition or circumstance in which the owner stands with regard to his property. In another sense, estate designates the property, real or personal, in which one has a right or interest. Thus we speak of valuable estate, all my estate, separate estate, trust estate. This also is its meaning in the classification of property into real estate and personal estate. So we're talking about property, okay? And the trust is the document that manages the property. And on that matter, I have heard of this, the fee simple vast estate. I have heard of the 10105905 or the original 1099. I've heard of these documents mentioned, but it's very difficult to find the document itself to examine. And I I have my suspicions on why that is, but rather than just go on suspicions, I would like to read something to you first that shall, I hope, make things a bit more clear for you. And I'm going to be reading from this packet called Moorish Literature. From the Moor Science Temple of America. It's a collection of documents from Noble Drew Ali and about the Moor Science Temple of America when Noble Drew Ali was actually alive and living and on the scene. First, I'm going to read section number 42, which is titled "To All Governors, Grand Sheiks, and Head Officials of Temple." During this convention period, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said on the 17th of October that he was going to appoint 7 men tried and true and accepted by you, and on the very next day Noble Drew Ali stepped forward from the chamber room and declared that he now had his number, and said that the grand body had accepted his choice in the setting of the Supreme Grand Council of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And Prophet Noble Drew Ali also declared what their duties in conjunction with that of the grand body, which consists of all executive rulers, chief rulers, governor. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said that both are to work hand in hand with each other, and those who act as in a Supreme Council duties were to continue on with each other, and those who act in a Supreme Council duties were to continue on with the day-to-day functions of this divine movement. Meaning like they were supposed to do their Supreme Council duties and their duties as the governor of the Moorish, whatever temple they were governing. Further on it says, while the grand body was to intercede that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali was the law and at the head of this divine movement. And it goes further and says, now the Prophet Noble Drew Ali announces the following adept chamber members would be seated on the Supreme Grand Council. Number 1, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Supreme Head and Supreme Chairman. Number 2, Brother Edward Mealy Ill, Supreme Grand Shiek and Grand Governor, Temple Number 1. Number 3, Brother James Lomax Bey, Supreme Grand Governor and Grand Governor, Temple Number 4. Brother Richard Ross Bey, Temple Number 1. Number 5, C. Green Bey, Supreme Business Manager, Temple Number 1. Number 6, Brother Blackwell Bey, Temple Number 1. And number 7, Sister Pearl Ali, Supreme Grand Secretary, Temple Number 1. Then Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, follow me and you will be happy. The Prophet also announced that a per capita tax had been voted in by the Grand Body and concurred with by the Supreme Grand Council during the second sitting of the Supreme Grand Council. So I wanted to read this section to show that Noble Drew Ali, to show about the Supreme Grand Council and to show that Noble Drew Ali announced the members of the Supreme Grand Council. Now, what the Supreme Grand Council has to do with the fee simple vast estate and the trust document shall be made clear in this next excerpt, which is entitled "To Make Changes." It is reported that the Prophet, the Supreme Executive Authority, will appoint a Supreme Grand Council, of which he will be the Supreme Grand Chairman. And just to be clear, I actually read something that was a little ahead of this, but when I come back, now that I'm reading this, it should make it clear. The Supreme Grand Council will have power and duty to control and supervise all the affairs and properties of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Let me read that one more time. The Supreme Grand Council will have power and duty to control and supervise all, not some, not a little bit, not a lot of it, not most, all of the affairs and properties of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Now, estate deals with property. So according to this, the Moorish literature of the Moorish Science Temple of America that Noble Drew Ali laid down said that the Supreme Grand Council will be in charge of the property, the estate of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Continuing, and they, the Supreme Grand Council, will be the sole judge of what constitutes conduct injurious to the order, peace, interest, or welfare of the organization, or at variance with its constitution and bylaws, also the rules and regulations made by the prophet, and shall be the sole judge of the sufficiency of the evidence by which such conduct is shown. So, the Supreme Grand Council would be, there's 7 members. Those people would be who we would need to speak to in regards to the property or the estate of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Now, the next question is, who's on the Supreme Grand Council? How do we get in contact with them? Those are very good questions. I myself have those questions, and I've asked several officials, Grand Sheiks, Supreme Grand Sheiks, about the Supreme Grand Council, and I've yet to come up with an answer on even who is on the Supreme Grand Council, let alone how to get in contact with them and what they've been doing with our estate. Kind of odd, isn't it? But don't just believe me. Go ask your Grand Sheik. Go ask any person that's claiming to be a Moorish American. Who's on the Supreme Grand Council? How do I get in contact with them? What's going on with the estate? Can you provide information? Because it is our estate. They don't own it. It's not the Supreme Grand Council's estate. They just control and supervise. They administer. They are the administrators. Management. But they report to the beneficiaries. That's how the trust works. They would be like trustees, if you will. I hope this cleared up your question. And for more, if you're looking for more information on the Supreme Grand Council, I made a video about it, and I'll include it in the description below, and probably on the screen now. You can click it on the right or left or somewhere on there. And the video is called "Who Are the Members of the Supreme Grand Council?" I'm still waiting for an answer. I've yet to get one. In due time, though. In due time. That I say peace, much love to you.